All righty, it's 6 o'clock, so let's get this show underway. We'll call the meeting to order, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 25th Select Board meeting.
So moved.
Been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from last time to carry over as far as the minutes go? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right, 5-0. All right, additions. We have a letter under correspondence from Triple P Trucking about rate increases, and that's the only addition I have. We have any members of the public to speak? No. Okay. Reports, or excuse me, warrants. Rob, go ahead.
I'd make a motion to pay the warrants, starting with number 1 payroll in the amount of $9,558.45. Number 2 payroll tax in the amount of $4,586.26. Number 3, the general fund in the amount of $13,230.11. Number 4, general fund school in the amount of $687,952.87. Number 5, highway in the amount of $2,924.14. Number 6, equipment in the amount of $958.93 for a total of $719,210.76.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the warrants. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion on warrants 1 through 6?
Yeah, it seems to me when we look at the general fund, we paid a man to be the principal of Townshend Elementary School, and that man can't even make it to the job on time. Pretty much most of the days out of the 5-day week, he isn't there on time, and we pay him heading for $100,000. And I look at that and I just want to bring it up to make sure that the public realizes that we're paying that much for somebody to not show up on time.
Okay, so noted. Does that change anything about your motion?
No.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying check warrants 1 through 6 totaling $719,210.76 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carried. I have one comment about the warrants. We've been doing this now this particular way rather than singling them out since I've been chair, or a little after I started. Does anybody have any objections to continuing to do this way? Moves us along pretty well.
No, I do not.
Okay, Rob?
Nope.
Okay.
I think it works good.
Okay. The only thing I would say is if anybody has an objection when we list them out this way, please tell us the number, and then we'll set that aside and deal with that in conversation or amended motion. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing we have is the highway report. Steve?
Last week we had to change a culvert on Lawrence. It was a 24-inch metal culvert that was rusting out, but the heavy truck traffic from the fire at the inn really took it out. So we changed that up last Friday. Last week I put out 3 RFPs. The first one is for ditch and stone lining, 5 segments on Back Windham Road, and that is a VTrans Better Roads grant. The second RFP is for 3 segments on Winslow Drive, and 2 segments on Adams. And that is a Wyndham Regional Grant and Aid grant program. And the third RFP was for gravel crushing. Those went out last week. 2 of the 3 are scheduled to be opened at our next meeting. The third one will be opened at the first meeting in July. And I will work on getting the RFP out for paving for this fiscal year by the end of this week. Currently, the Highway Department is ditching on Peaked Mountain Road. I started spraying roads yesterday for dust control. And Ken Hoffman came to see me last week in regards to the gazebo. The gazebo has been taking a beating. Specifically, as many as 14 balusters are now missing from the railings. He used to maintain the gazebo years ago. He does not do it anymore. No one is currently maintaining the gazebo. We do put, I think, $200 a year in the budget for gazebo maintenance. But these balusters are custom made. They're nothing that you can buy over the counter. So we're going to have a discussion on how we want to move forward for maintenance on the gazebo.
Is there any idea how they're missing? Because I got an idea how they are missing.
So according to Ken, he has seen himself personally. The kids on the gazebo are kicking them out.
Okay, are we talking elementary kids, or are we talking high school kids, or is just
We're talking
kids?
elementary kids.
Okay.
And they're not being monitored by the, like the playground paras, I guess?
Well, I mean, I guess I have a little issue myself with getting the fountain started up. They're allowed to walk on the fountain. They're allowed to walk in the fountain. They're loosening the stones that are veneered on the concrete circumference of the fountain, and nobody says anything. So I think we need to send a letter to elementary school. And Rob, when's the last day of school?
Friday. But I think this ties into kind of what I just mentioned a minute ago without any provoking, is the part where the person that's in charge of the elementary school isn't present even at the beginning of the day. And it's like, we need to, I don't know, it is what it is.
Okay, if you would like, we'll compose a letter to send to not only the elementary school, but the school district that this needs to stop, both with the gazebo and the fountain. And we may end up sending them a bill for replacing those balusters if we've got something, we've got somebody that says kids are kicking them out or unsupervised. It's their responsibility to take care of damages.
Do we have the balusters that have been knocked out, or have they been like picked up and maybe thrown away or something?
Yeah, they are gone. I don't know who picked them up. I didn't research if somebody picked them up and they're in the elementary school somewhere, but they're not laying on the ground anywhere around the gazebo.
Okay.
Is there any objection to doing just what I said, sending them a letter? We'll comprise it, get it sent out right away to both the superintendent and the elementary school, maybe even the high school.
No, I'm in support of it.
Okay?
I'm in support of it too, with the idea that if it's not them, come forward with the person that is the problem with this issue.
Okay, that's fair enough. Haley, any input?
I had a question about the roads, I guess, for Steve. Do you just spray the roads with water or to keep down the dust?
No, it's called calcium chloride.
Oh, okay. I am in favor of the letter.
Okay. All right, then we'll put it on the list to get it done this within the next couple of days and get it out to them before they all take off for the season. Anything else, Steve?
No, that is it, Sherwood. Thank you.
Okay. Town clerk packet is in the packet. The treasurer's report is In the municipal investment fund, $1,351,077.32, and there is $30,000 in the checking account. All right. I put on here status updates, and what I'm thinking is we are getting a lot of these approvals for use of the common. There's a couple of them in this particular go around, and what I wanted to ask you for your opinion and potentially approval is if we get one of those things in, the common permit, that either Steve or myself sign off on it and just report it like a regular highway report or treasurer's report or something like that. It seems like a waste of time, honestly, to have to go through voting on something that's just an administrative procedure. Thoughts?
In my time, everybody abuses their privilege and it turns into a different priority situation in the people that are holding the gavel,
Yeah,
so to speak.
okay.
Well, I think bringing it to the board is it puts it onto the table. It lets everybody have a fair share of their opinion, and it goes from there.
Okay. Anybody else have another opinion?
I think that's fair enough, Rob. I agree with you. This is Ally, by the way.
Okay. All right. Well, it was an idea to present. You know, it's the vote of the five. So if you think we should stay where we're at, that's good with me. I just figured I'd bring an alternative to the table. So we'll continue on just the way we are with bringing each permit to the board when they ask for it.
I just think Sherwood, it's a transparent situation when you do that. Nobody has a gripe about anything. It's all on the table, and
Yeah, I see that. The only thing I was thinking was that the person, if they were denied, had an avenue of appeal, which we don't really have right now.
But if
that is bring it to the full board.
If we deny somebody, it's probably going to be for due process. I mean, we've put in every avenue to make it so that it's like anybody can use it. It's not, you just need to follow the guidelines.
Yeah. I can't say as I disagree with you. Like I said, just bringing it as something different to do, to try and save our time with administrative details. But yeah, I'm good with that too. No problem. Let's see here. COVID update. As of this morning, there were 79.4% towards that 80% of vaccinated people. Means there's 3,139 people left to get to that magic number. At 80%, all restrictions are lifted. And the only reason we're not at 80% right now is because of mathematical calculations in error. That's spent some time sorting out. The governor did say that he is talking about letting the June 15th deadline for renewing the emergency order to lapse. And if it lapses, all things are dropped from there. There is, however, some issues, one with the school or the schools, and there are other things that they want to keep the emergency order in place to deal with, but it won't change the fact that when they hit the 80%, that the restrictions are off. Let's see here. Schools, I talked about schools. Trying to read my own handwriting, that's a miracle. Okay. They're one of the reasons with the schools that they may keep the restrictions on is because of how many kids under the age of 10 are enrolled in schools with no protection, and they seem to have a more adverse reaction to this if they catch the virus. All of the things that we're working with or on as far as restrictions go away, and they go down to what they're calling just guidance, just recommendations. So recommendations would be, if you haven't had at least one dose of the antivirus serum, to please mask and maintain your distance. That's it. Let's see. Now, if my math is right with the amount of people that they're getting per day, this thing should lapse before the end of the week. And that's at least what the governor's office is saying. So that's it with that.
Are we gonna go like 3 or 4 extra board meetings before we do that, just to be safe?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. When they hit 80%, we'll drop it. There's nothing, once they drop the restrictions, there's nothing legally that we can do unless we can cite a hazard here in town to change that. So
I'm recording this, so we can't move the goalpost from here.
me too. We would have been in person tonight had they not messed the numbers up. Let's see. One of the things that has come out is, and I might as well tell you about it now, is discussion about maintaining an online presence for board meetings, such as Zoom, such as the Microsoft product, and a couple of others, wherein you have the in-person meetings, but you broadcast it so that people that want to tune in can do that. We have the television coverage, but that's not live. And this particular thing will allow for conversations just like this. We have somebody that comes into the meeting, presents their whatever they want, or they want to watch what's going on, and they can interact with the board. It is something that they've been discussing about at the press conference, and it may come at us in the form of open meeting law changes. But that's 2 years down the road, I would say, if they're going to put all of that in writing, get it through the lawyers, get it through the legislature, etc. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. Let's see. So let's talk about Triple T Trucking, their rates. According to the note that I got, it's going to go up $15 per month on one thing, on the I think the recyclables, and the other one is $15 a month on the food waste thing. Steve, do you have anything more about this?
I have not been copied on anything with Triple T.
Okay. All right. Well, so they wrote it, they hand wrote it. It needs follow-up. It just barely came in. But that's what they're talking about, is adding essentially to us $30 a month for their services.
Is there a reason?
They just, let me get it for you and I'll read it. Come on. There we go. Dear valued customers, this was dated June 2021. We take pride in providing cost-effective, quality local service. In our ever-changing world we live in, we reach a point where it is necessary to increase our charges for service. We value you as a customer and maintaining a strong commitment to you in the services we provide. Every effort was made to align the proposed increases with the level of service you receive. We trust that you continue to recognize the benefit of the service provided. Starting in July, we will be increasing your monthly rate by, and then somebody wrote in handwriting on the bottom of the letter, on-call haulage, $15 per month, compost collection, $15 per month. So I guess it's not exactly the recyclables, but if we have to call them in, apparently it's going to cost us more per month.
Maybe those are just additional charges. I don't know that it's actually says that. Maybe that's just for additional charges, like if you want an on-call haul or if you want additional compost collection. I don't know if,
Ally, we've been on call the whole time.
oh, okay.
So what this boils down to is additional service fees, is what it boils down to.
What it boils down to me is I've been on the board this is my 7th year. We've had 22 contracts. It's like sign a contract and not just hold us accountable, hold them accountable.
I agree.
Steve, what do you feel? I mean, you've been on the board for a while. What do you think?
No, I agree. We have the compost pickup is something that was not budgeted for, and we're absorbing that cost. We're absorbing the cost for the compostable bags. We're not charging for those. And I would like to hear a little bit more on what the price increase is for.
Yeah, it came in late to the game here, so I think they stamped it.
Today.
Yeah, they stamped it as received today. So we had no notice, no warning. I'm throwing this out here so that you can, put your experience to the ones that are experienced to this. And what do you want to do?
We're in an ever-changing world, but it can't be changing when it comes to trash the way that it changes with them. I mean, they're rolling. I mean, every time we look up, it's literally 3-4 times a year they've got some sort of different contract situation. Right, Steve? Or Ron?
If I can get a copy of the letter, read it, I will call Pete and I'll have a discussion with him. And one of the reasons why we're going to go over budget this year in our tipping fees with Triple T and the recyclables is because once COVID hit and everybody was home, a lot of people in Townsend cleaned their house out. And we were switching dumpsters out more than twice a week, which is triple what it normally is. And every time they haul out, we pay for that. We pay for the truck to pick it up, and we pay for the tonnage that we're dumping. So we have done a ton of business with them this year. So I would love to see the letter, and I would love to call Pete and have a conversation with him.
You should have it tomorrow morning, Steve.
Okay.
I will make sure that it's in your email for tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve, your packet is in your mailbox. If you weren't able to get there after work.
We'll get this settled, but I agree with you. A contract is valid on both sides, and we're not signing up for, when we sign these things, for rate increases all the time.
Right.
So I have the same issue with the fuel oil that in town that I probably ranted and raved to each one of you about. But that's another story. Okay, I'll see that gets to you, Steve, for tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
All right, the next thing we have is on the COVID thing. All right, the letter to the library board. Next thing on the agenda. Let me get my book here. I think the best way to start this discussion is read into the record the letter that I wrote on the 25th, and then we can have a discussion about it. It's to the Vermont Department of Libraries in Montpelier, reference renaming of Negro Brook. The Select Board of the Town of Townsend, Vermont met in regular session on May 11th, 2021 to conduct the business of the town. As part of the warning for that meeting, the board was requested to send a letter of support to the Vermont Library Board in reference to changing the name of what is now Negro Brook to Susanna Toby Brook. The board heard statements from members of the renamed Negro Brook Alliance, the petitioners in this case, a researcher, Dr. Elise Guyette, and 3 members of the public. The meeting lasted in excess of an hour on this topic. There continues to be question relating to the historical accuracy of the local, from a local perspective, which appears to be the greatest source of concern. While the Townshend Historical Society was not officially represented, it is my understanding that the library board has received their opinion on this matter and it remains unchanged. Charlie Marchant, a town resident, retired history teacher, and local historical researcher, did appear and gave a report based on his preliminary primary source research on this matter, and gave his opinion, which I believe the library board has on file. 2 votes were taken relating to this matter. The first, would the select board support changing the name of the brook? The second, would the select board, or would the board support the name that has been proposed by the petitioner? Results of the vote were split on both questions, and it was not unanimous. However, the majority vote was in favor of sending a letter. It was decided that it is time the issue is moved forward, and the select board is in favor of that. Okay, that's what I wrote, and I know you all have had copies of it, because I've heard from you individually on this for the most part. It seems to me that the question is that the letter we send to the library board?
Throw the question again.
Is that the letter we should send to the library board?
I think it's fine. I think it's a fine letter. Let's go for it.
I'm in a situation, to be honest with you, Ally, that I feel that you should have abstained from the vote the last time when it came to that. And I'm going to bring to you, well, not right this second, but there's different examples of people that have not either gotten onto boards because of their thoughts and their outreach to different areas. And, then other people that didn't get because they were pushing so much on something that it's like, this is supposed to be a board where we don't really, like, we have our thought, but we're not like a driving factor of things. Like, we're not stirring the pot on the other end. We can't be a double-edged sword. We need to be one way, and like look at it objectively. So I kind of think that you should have abstained from the last vote. And I don't think that vote that happened that day should count. And I would make a motion to bring this and make it an article that goes into the town meeting for 2022, and let the people of the town as a whole vote on this subject themselves, what to name it, whether to rename it, or any of the other stuff. And that is a motion put down by Rob Wright to bring it to town meeting in 2022 of what to do with this, whether we send a letter, what the name should be, or any of the other stuff. Let the whole entire body of the voting populace vote on it.
Can I just say that I feel sort of upset that just because I had an opinion about this, that I should have abstained. I have
Okay,
no
Ally, can
connection.
I ask you a question?
Sure, you can ask me a question.
Did you sign any petition regarding the renaming of Negro Brook?
No.
And Haley, did you sign any petition?
I did sign a petition before I was a select board member. That does not make me a part of any group that shows support, which is different.
There have been people that haven't gotten onto the planning commission because have signed petitions for different alliances and agencies and stuff. I'm just letting you know that.
We're very careful with, I'm very careful with what I'm involved with. There's some feedback. I'm not sure why. Maybe there's somebody's phone is on or something. Anyway, I just want to say that I felt that this was a normal, natural progress for a board of diverse people to have a long discussion about something. There's a lot of weighing on this, and I think that we made our decision and the letter sounded fine. All I had suggested was just adding a little bit more about the research that was brought to us that swayed our decision. That swayed my decision, 100 pages of research. I just suggested that being added to the letter. I wasn't trying to stir any pots. I'm very excited about making myself an ambassador of this community and helping out people's voices be heard. That's all that I do, and that's why I said I'm a vessel.
So does Rob have a motion on the table?
Yes.
I second it.
Rob, I'm sorry, would you repeat the motion that you
I
made?
would make a motion to bring this to an article on the town meeting for the 2022 town meeting, and let the people of the town of Townsend vote whether they approve of the name change, and that stuff, and have it as an article in the meeting.
Okay. Steve, that's what you're seconding?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, it seems like it's going to be a little after the fact because the library, the Board of Libraries is voting on it in like 2 weeks. So, like, waiting until the next town meeting, we're going to be voting on something that is done.
We had to do this when it came to the Stone Arch Bridge. We had to do this when it has come to paving projects. This is how this works, Ally. This isn't, we're not the judge, the executioner, the gavel. We're not all of it. You put it out to vote for the people. We were voted in by the people, and this is how the process goes. It's like, this is part of it.
Okay, well, this is Haley, by the way. Sorry, I know it's confusing.
Okay, I'm
We're
sorry.
using the same computer. But if it goes to the library and then it goes to whatever the next levels of voting, and then it's changed, then are we saying we're going to come back and want to change it again? I'm just
No, what we're
unclear.
saying is that there's 1,100 people that live in the town of Townsend, and we got voted in by whoever was voting or electing us, and this is how it works. I mean, we're trying to change something, change a name. We're not in unanimous part of this, and I think that it needs to be further than having a petition that a few people sign or just get enough signatures and then go from there. Put it out to vote. Let the people vote on it, of the town. And I don't think that I think that either you or Ally should have abstained from the last vote. I'm sorry.
You're allowed to think that we should have done something, but we are entitled to a vote on this board, and we are allowed to vote when we feel it's necessary. So that's fine that you both think that way. That is totally great, Steve. And I think this is perfect. It's part of discourse, is having other people that have other opinions. It's fine. I just don't understand why we would backpedal at this point when we've just written a letter of approval. It's just a little bit, it feels a little out of line at this point, but That's just my opinion. Seems like we're backpedaling something that we just spent a board meeting and multiple emails and lots of time discussing. So I just don't know why we would go through this again when even Charlie said he was ready for this to be done. And it's like, why wouldn't we allow this to just
Because
move
usually
on to the
that's
next
the
phase?
first vote.
All right, let's make clear what's going on. So anybody that happens to be listening to this will understand. The Town of Townsend Select Board was asked to send a letter of support for the change to the name of a brook in Townsend. There was a petition filed with the State Library Board by an organization that has been driving this issue for at least a year, maybe more. And there has been research by a historian that this person that they've suggested, Susanna Toby, was a member of the Town of Townsend as a resident. She was here sometime just before the turn of the 17th century, about 1800. And the Town of Townsend Select Board is their only authority in this issue is to speak for the members of the public. Now, I have the petition that was sent to the library board, and out of, what'd you say, 1,100 people, Rob?
I didn't even look into the thing. I'm shooting off the hip, but yes.
I would say 11, 12.
Give or take 100 either way.
Yeah, there were 36 people that signed that petition out of, what was it, 227.
And I don't know, out of that amount, I don't know how many of them are registered voters. So
I would say all of them from the names that I looked at, Rob. I would say all of the ones that are on that list as far as Townsend goes. Go ahead, Rob.
Still doesn't bring you to 5% of the voting population if they are all registered voters, which is typically what you need to move a petition forward to the next step is 5% of your voters. 36 is a little bit short.
So I think what the issue becomes is who are we representing? Are we representing the townspeople in this vote? Or are we passing judgment on something that may or may not stick?
are you asking a question?
What's that?
Is that a question to me?
Nope, it's just a general statement. That we have all of this information. It could have been presented with thinking in your line, it could have been presented to town meeting on the ballot this year, but it wasn't. So honestly, we don't have a feel for what the members of the voting public, the registered voters, the taxpayers, the people we represent, want to do with it. Now, I will tell you up front that I am fully in favor of changing the name of that brook. I don't want to see it, don't want to be here in another year with another petition or 2 years with another petition because this person that they've suggested doesn't fit with the criteria that the general public from this town would like to hear. My 2 cents with it. The vote that I gave last time was to move us forward. The letter that's on the table is what has been generated to resolve that issue. Simple reading of the fact. Now we have a motion from Rob to suspend that and send this to the town meeting representative or the town meeting vote March 2022. That's where we're at.
And it's been seconded.
We're in discussion. So I guess what I'm looking for or I have a pretty good idea how the vote's going to split. I'm looking for an argument that says that this particular thing is an issue to the town voters during discussion.
Well, I think it should be an issue for the town voters. My position from the beginning has been, I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth having people in Burlington tell us what Townsend needs to do. And I think I'm not the only one that feels that way. And I think I am in favor of a name change, but I think the voters need to decide what that should be.
Okay. Anything else?
I think I already expressed my opinion.
Allison and Haley, do you have anything else?
No comment.
Okay.
I
I'm
think
going.
I already said what I feel.
Okay. Yeah. I want to address something that came up here before we move on. Yes, you have the right as a member of the board to be enthusiastic about something, bring something forward to encourage it. But if you are acting for an organization or a group that doesn't, and the question's going to be on for you to vote on, you have an obligation to disclose what your position is, whether you sign petitions, and you have to really seriously think about refusal for the vote. Now, I know this is a little bit abnormal, but I'd like to continue with the business of the meeting, and while I think about my vote, and it's only going to be a little bit. I think we got to get things done and move on first. Is there anybody that has an objection to that?
My one question is a little bit.
What's that?
What is a little bit?
Let's get through the agenda.
Okay.
All right. Well, the next thing.
Excuse me. If Steve mutes when he's not speaking, we won't have this echo.
Okay. Star six. There we go. All right. Next thing on the agenda is maintenance of Taft Meadows. I asked a couple of questions just before the board meeting started about when is the opportune time to get that cut. We have in the past put it out to bid. We have two options. We can have somebody hired by a sealed bid, or we can directly hire a subcontractor to take care of this. This is the property that is right on Route 30, just outside of town, on the, what would be the west side of town. It's the location where the fire department someday may exist. And there's a cemetery bordering the field on one side. It's been used, the material's been used for haying when it's been good enough to use for hay for animals. In the past, we've asked for seal bids. Is there anybody that has a motion as to how we proceed on this?
Is the person who was hanging it no longer hanging it? Is that the issue?
Well, no, there was an issue last year, and it's not worth going into in its entirety, but we need somebody to do it. It was done for free last year after a long discussion, and but before that, the previous, I think, 2 years, it was a paid job that people were allowed to bid on.
1 year.
1 year? That's all it was, Rob? Okay, 1 year.
Didn't Rob hay that last year?
No,
Oh, which field is it?
it is the Taft Meadows field.
Okay,
right off of Route 30, just east of the town, west of the town center. I don't know how better to
down by the
describe.
river, down slope down by the river.
Nope.
No.
It's the field that as you leave town headed towards West Townsend, it's on the left-hand side. And it's the
Okay.
first open property if you leave the center of the village.
Yep.
Okay. So do we put it out to bid? Do we hire a subcontractor? Do you want to think about it for another week?
Do we have to, my question is, why would we need to pay somebody to hay it? I'm sure there's a hay shortage, you guys. Like I'm sure somebody would love to hay that to keep their hay for their animals.
How much hand equipment you own?
The problem is in doing that, in just giving them the hay, the person that's doing it is losing. They have gas, oil, equipment maintenance. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Now, at one point in time in history, yes, it was a voluntary thing, but then it started to cost money, and there's not enough. And we can't do it with the town's equipment as it sets. So it's been put out to bid last 2 years, and it's been actually paid on one of those bids 1 year. Okay. We'll put it up for next time. Think about it. That's not a huge.
I don't think that we should put it up for next time. I think that we need to act on it now, put
Okay.
something in place and get it done.
Okay.
I don't want to have, after last year's BS with Crystal Mansfield and that whole game, I'm all set.
Okay.
If, when we put a bid out and it comes within $20 on $700 or whatever, it's like, it comes down to like, who's opening the bids and looking at them. It's called, call it out tonight, pick somebody and get the freaking thing done.
Okay. Do I have a motion to move forward with a bid?
Do we need a bid? Just find somebody and get them.
I'm fine with hiring somebody.
All right. I would make a motion to call Ben Lowe at Riverbend Farms and have him come up, cut it, bale it, and get it done.
Okay.
Whether it's round baled, square baled.
I don't care about that.
He can do it, have him do it. If he can go to the closest edges, cool.
Okay. How much do we pay him?
See what he wants. I don't know, $500.
Okay. Is that your motion? $500?
Make a motion to pay Ben Lowe $500 to hay Taft Meadows, whatever he can do out of the ball field in the Oakwood Cemetery field. And if he has interest in doing it, have him do it. If he doesn't, we'll find somebody else.
All right. Sounds fair enough to me. So was that motion seconded?
I seconded it. Allie did.
Okay. Moved and seconded.
Do we want to cap it at 500? So we
Yeah.
don't run into the having to 1099 somebody if they don't give us their insurance form?
Carla, if I thought that it should be 1,000, I would have said 1,000. If I thought it should be 250, I would have said 250.
I'm just asking for Elaine's sake.
Well, I'm saying
Okay.
that's what I figured would be a fair price.
Okay, thank you.
Been moved, seconded, and the money situation is capped at $500. All those in favor? By saying aye.
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 Aye as well. Rob, your position?
I said aye.
Okay. 5-0. Move forward. Okay. The common use permit. Townsend Elementary School is looking for October 16th to hold a pumpkin festival on the town common. The second one is the library for their summer reading program on July 16th. Is there any objection to either one of those? Okay, hearing no objection to it, I'd entertain a motion to rent the common to the Townsend Elementary School for the Pumpkin Festival on October 16th, and the town common for the summer reading program for the library on July 16th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You are unmuted.
Okay. Sounds like 5-0 to me. Okay, Kindle Farms expansion project. Basically, this has been through planning. It's been approved by the state, and all they're looking for is the town services that would be moved into play if there was an emergency there. And the only one that we have on the list is the fire department. And if the building is in Newfane, Townsend will be there. If it's in Townsend, so will Newfane. So it doesn't, it's not really, we have to put an expense up to. I've asked Steve to weigh in on it. I asked Glenn to weigh in on it, and Andy Snelling, and none of them pointed to any problems with just filling out the questionnaire. I don't think we really need a motion. That's just kind of an update for you. And I will, if you want to see that whole package, Rob, I'll send it to you.
No, I'm all right with it.
You're okay? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as other people think, as long as people of Townsend are fine with it, like as far as the fire department, if that's the one thing, then that's good.
Yeah, it's not really that big of an issue. It's been hashed out for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. They had a permit to have those yurts up there, and they need to go away because the permit expired 3 or 4 years ago. And they've been working through this process for a long time. Planning was in the middle of it, so they knew about what was going on, and they don't really have an issue other than the building that they're talking about. They're not 100% sure is actually in Townsend. Part of the building is, but maybe not all of it. So, okay.
Sherwood, while we're on the subject, or prior to having the subject of the common use, now that we are in the phases of reopening, do we want to revisit the Alcoholics Anonymous request to continue using the town hall, as well as the gentleman who is wishing to tutor?
I'm thinking as far as renting the town hall, and I'm looking for input about this, that we should hold off on that until after July 4th.
Okay.
Just simply because this has been such a mess, and we don't need to add any more to the mess until it's totally clear.
Okay, that sounds good.
Anybody have any input with that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense that if we haven't even started doing meetings there yet, that we shouldn't start renting the space out.
Okay. All right. So that let's just leave it the way it is. Town common will come under these permits, and we'll hold off until let's revisit it at the first meeting after the 4th.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now we do have an executive session tonight. Let's do that first. Let's get that over with first. Entertain a motion to move into executive session for personnel matter under 1 VSA 318B.
I second.
Okay.
Was that Haley?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
You are unmuted.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Saying aye.
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 Aye. Everybody's here. We're back in open session. The vote is still pending on the previous motion from Rob about moving any letter of support from the select board's responsibility to the town voting public. The town representatives, people that live here, taxpayers, whatever. And so I guess I will call for a vote on the motion that he made? All those in favor of
Unmuted.
moving this to town meeting and then advising the library board that the rest of the town needs to weigh in on it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
No.
Also opposed.
Both of you. Okay. I guess in reflecting on it, I have to say aye. I think it's important that the people that put us in the position have their input. It may have no impact on the way that the library board decides this issue. But I just don't want it to be said that not everybody got to speak.
So it's a pretend vote.
No, it's not a pretend vote. It's an actual vote.
It's a vote on something that's already going to have moved out of the hands of the people of Townsend.
Yep.
So it's a pretend vote. But that's fine, yeah.
Well, I don't honestly think that the people that vote at town meeting would agree with you. I don't think that they've been heard. And I'm sorry, that's just the motion was brought up. Concerns were leveled. Here's where we are. Let the voters decide.
An arbitrary letter, basically, so the letter that we wrote is not going to the library. Is that what we did?
Basically, the letter that goes to the library says that the Townshend Select Board is voting to move it to town meeting, and that the library board can either wait for that or move forward. That's essentially what it's going to say. Because we can't agree on this. We have to go by what the 1,100 or 1,200 people in this town have to say. I wish it was different, but it's not. And I will tell you, like I told you at the outset of this, I believe that name needs to change. That's the bottom line. And if asked my opinion personally, I will tell you that. But this is not about personal opinion. It's about interpreting what the 1,100 people that put us here have to say about it. Okay.
Well, I think sometimes outside forces have to move in when the people in a given space are not seeing clearly the effects of harmful behavior. And in this position, it's harmful language. So I'm interested to see where this goes. And I've appreciated all the discussion. But, Townsend kind of lost control of the situation in a way when the people of Townsend didn't decide to change a harmful name.
The people of Townsend, Haley, the people of Townsend in general wouldn't even know that brook exists. Wouldn't know the name that it exists. I bet you if you went out and you talked to 20 people before this thing on the select board happened, they wouldn't even tell you where it was because they don't know. Now, is that right? Is that wrong?
No,
that they don't know? Sure, but they don't. And this
and I agree, but we were informed. We were given information. And, I didn't know that name existed either,
Let me give you a piece of information from my perspective. I have worked and been around this area. When I was in law enforcement, my patrol area was this valley. I've been the emergency management director for 3 years and been involved with town to some extent for those 3 years. And until Charlie Marchant, after I was named select board chair the first time, Charlie Marchant came to me and said, "Hey, by the way, you might want to know this." I knew nothing about it, and I've lived here for 25 years. So the information didn't get out to the general public, didn't make it that far. And that has a lot to do with the way that I'm voting today. The information didn't get out. People didn't get an opportunity. And they need to. And I think that town meeting needs to have this discussion on a broader scale. It might not affect the change of that Brooks name, but at least the people will have been told what happened, what's happening, and what we need to do.
Yes, and I think it will be a very eye-opening discussion.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. All right, is there anything else for the board? Anybody else have anything today? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You
Is
are
there a second?
unmuted.
There a second?
I second.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.